See here. Oh, hold on. There it goes. All right. I had to make sure everything was plugged in. We are plugged in. We are live. Welcome in. Wow, what a weekend. Wow, what a weekend. Where to begin? Where to begin? Well, you know what? Let's just use the tickers to be able to do this. So, over this weekend, we had a lot of different things take place. And we are going to do a deeper dive here, obviously, here in a little bit. But as a generalization, last night, Sean McDermott got out coached again. You can talk about the fumbles. Coleman and Allen had a fumble. Stevenson fumbled, though. You had Gibson fumble. And the reality is, it was a really tough game, divisional game, and in a game like that, and we saw it yesterday, we saw it multiple times over the weekend. teams that are ascending, and remember, you get one bad loss a year. So for me, this is Buffalo's bad loss. And I do believe it actually helps them. And you may be wondering, how in the world does it help them? Really simply this. They're already not undefeated. They have a loss. They should have won. It was at home. Uniforms, whiteout, ice look was freaking awesome. They have a look, though, and now don't have to worry, since they will be favored in the rest of their games from here on out. They do not have to worry about undefeated talk. That pressure will now never be there. On the New England Patriots side, you have a coaching staff that is better than Buffalo's. 1,000% better than Buffalo's. Mike Vrabel is better than Sean McDermott. Josh McDaniels is better than Joe Brady. And last night it showed. Josh Allen had to try to play Superman because of the fact that Cook could not get the ground game running. But at the same time, Buffalo started running some really odd run plays for how the Patriots were playing defense. And Joe Brady, in big spots again, had to resort to letting Allen do what Allen was going to do. Now, let's be very clear. You're going to throw interceptions as a quarterback. The one that he threw, sometimes people make great defensive plays. Interceptions are going to happen. Like, I thought last night, if Drake May threw an interception on that final drive, I was going to be like, I don't care. You're gonna throw an interception every once in a while. The reality is the ball is being spread around it's a complete spray. You got everybody catching a football in Buffalo right now. Everybody's got it. You are one of the most balanced teams in the NFL, but there is the issue of play calling and head coaching going into it. Listen, the Patriots beat the Bills at the end of last year. We know that. But Drake May is now 2-1 against Buffalo. And whether, obviously it wasn't all with Vrabel, and he got blown out the previous time last year. But the way that game plan was, watching how the Patriots played everything. Stephon Diggs was a man possessed last night. He had no touchdowns and still had 24 points in most PPR leagues. 10 catches, 146 yards. Buffalo does miss Ed Oliver in the middle of that defense badly. I really think there is a legitimate concern for the Buffalo defense because these are the types of games you got to be able to win. But they couldn't get the Patriots off the field. They couldn't make those stops when they really needed to. And Ed Oliver is a big part of it. But at the same time, offensively, I questioned a lot of the calls. Josh Allen was throwing gorgeous throws. Drake May, equally. They both were escaping the pocket, keeping plays alive. Now, Buffalo, I do believe that throw on Shakir, I think Shakir needs to keep running towards Allen a little bit, just coming back to the football, because he did. He stopped, and, it was close. It was really good defense by Christian Gonzalez, who I've always loved, out of Oregon. I've always loved him. He's an outstanding corner. And that play right there is why New England was able to go down, kick a field goal, and win the game. Now, I don't know. They may have been able to score a touchdown, but the way that Buffalo's defense is built, they are ready for you to try to make those plays. But reality is, we watched two amazing quarterbacks last night. For those that didn't think Drake May could play in the NFL and go toe-to-toe, guess what he just did? On Sunday Night Football, not with just the plays, not with just 3 steps back and ball out, scrambling, rolling around. Did he make a couple questionable throws? Duh. You're trying to win a football game. But the Patriots gave him full ability to just go. Mike Vrabel instills confidence into his players. He instills confidence into what is going on. And this is why the Titans had to fight to get their first win yesterday with a coach that is lackluster, that still has no business being a head coach. And the Patriots, with an owner like Robert Kraft, understanding, I don't know everything about football. He does. He's my coach. He tells me what he needs. We get it for him. And then those idiot owners in Tennessee are like, oh, you're challenging our football knowledge. We know what needs to take place. Really? When's the last time you won a season series? When's the last time you won anything during the regular season? Oh, yeah, that's right. It was with Vrabel. Remember how long it was before Vrabel that you were waiting, Tennessee? You're going to be waiting that long again. And you've got a quarterback that yesterday drove you down for the winning field goal. Brought you back. The Titans get their first win. Jonathan Gannon yesterday, I believe, sealed his fate. He is done. He is out in Arizona. You cannot lose that game. You cannot lose that game. But huge components to Tennessee. They came back. They played hard. The guys never gave up. I still believe Ridley finally made a good catch. It took him forever this season to make a good catch. But week 5, he makes a huge catch up the sideline. And Cam Ward threw one of the prettiest footballs yesterday. Drake May, Cam Ward, and Josh Allen yesterday made some absolutely gorgeous throws. Just beautiful throws. So did Dak Prescott. Well, we'll obviously get to that game later. But the Patriots are real. Do not sleep on a team that is coached that well, that has that much talent. Gibson being hurt definitely affects them. Henderson, I do believe, will probably be the kick returner, which I think is good for them because he's really fast. They do need a little bit better running game. That is a huge hole. And honestly, if Diggs is going to ball out like that, they'll be okay at receiver. They could definitely use somebody else. Butte is not the answer. Demario Douglas could be. If he could just figure it out, he would be a really good number 2 or slot guy. But Buffalo, again, running the ball and play calling and just getting out-coached from the outset. They were just out-coached. McDermott was out-coached again. And I'm sorry. I think McDermott needs a new home. I really do. I think McDermott needs a new home because he is consistently out-coached, and now he is no longer the best coach in his own division. He's better than McDaniel by plenty. He's better than Aaron Glenn. That team's a mess right now. But Vrabel's better than him. Vrabel is better. All right, so that's one undefeated that dropped. The other undefeated that dropped was the Philadelphia Eagles, who I did predict would lose. I picked the Broncos yesterday. And you know what? I don't know what it is with Philly right now, but throwing the ball 38 times with Jalen Hurts is not normally the way of success. Not normally, anyway. Uh, Meanwhile, Denver's got a running game going. Bo Nix only had 2 sacks yesterday. Jalen Hurts got sacked 6 times. Saquon Barkley only ran the ball 6 times. Had 3 receptions for 58 yards out of the backfield. Denver was down 21-3 heading into the fourth quarter. You heard me right, 21-3. So let's take a look here at how the rest of this played out. Well, you see, there's this awesome thing that happened. So Denver has the ball. They're driving down the field. Fourth quarter starts with 13 minutes and 11 seconds left in the game. J.K. Dobbins runs the ball in from 2 yards out, making it 17-10. They stop Philadelphia and they make another drive. They finish it off with Evan Ingram. 11-yard touchdown reception from Bo Nix. They go for 2 and make the game 18-17. Philadelphia struggles. We go back and forth. Final drive for the Broncos. Minute and 11 seconds left. Will Lutz hits a 36-yard field goal to put the Broncos up 21-17, and Philly can't do anything. Can't do anything. Philadelphia had this game. You get a bad loss every year. This is a bad one at home. This is a 18-point screw up at home. That's what this is. And okay. But there are some very, very bothersome things going on in Philly. Saquon Barkley not running the football, throwing the football 38 times with Jalen Hurts. A.J. Brown is absolutely frustrated with how everything played out. I mean, he is outrageously frustrated. You can see it on the field. I do believe they are still going to have to trade him. I think he sees other teams around the league that need a receiver that are in potential playoff position, and I don't think he's going to just stick with Philly. Because I think he realizes Philly, this new offensive coordinator, the way everything's playing out, everybody said it's not that big of a deal. I told you all, these games, they're not winning. The Rams absolutely flummoxed away the game, but then they did the same thing with the Colts, did the same thing against the Niners. Rams are having a hard time staying on fire offensively the whole time. It could be because Stafford's old. I don't know. But Philadelphia can't even run the ball. Like, Philadelphia is refusing to stay with the running game. This offensive coordinator obviously didn't look at the blueprint for how they won the Super Bowl last year. And it is not by having Hurts throw 38 times. The Commanders are going to be begging the Eagles. They will beg the Eagles. Just keep letting Hurts throw 38, 40 times. Go ahead. Because then they'll win the division. Because Philly will not win if Hurts is going to throw the ball that much. Just won't. There's no chance. Denver comes away with a huge statement win. Chargers losing gives them an absolute shot at the division title still. You got Kansas City and Jacksonville tonight. I cannot wait for that game. Because everything we've known about the season this weekend was proven you don't know jack squat. Minnesota and Cleveland go down to the wire, and we'll talk about that here in a second. The New Orleans Saints did get the W. It was off of turnovers, to be very clear. Jackson Dart had 3 turnovers by himself, but as a team, they had 5. That is how you lose. That is how you lose. They weren't great. Spencer Rattler wasn't sacked, though. That is huge. And the reality is, this game was fun to watch. I mean, it was 16-14 and a half. This game was absolutely fun to watch. Jackson Dart, he made rookie mistakes. You get to do that in your second start. You know, I think they put a little bit too much on him. This week he threw the football 40 times. Last week he threw, 17? So, without really, diving into the running game, no pun intended, you kind of hurt what Dart needs to have. Dart needs a running game. And I think they failed him this week. I really do. Yeah, he threw the 2 picks, but they had 3 fumbles. 1 was him, but 2 were not. So turnovers doom the Giants. The Saints get their first win of the year, which I did say may be their only win. And the Tennessee Titans, like we said, got the victory over the Arizona Cardinals, 22-21, and it doesn't look good in Arizona. In fact, the body language is absolute garbage out there. All right. We got one more ticker to get to. Here we go. Preseason favorites fall again. Folks, Clemson, Penn State, and Texas are all not in the top 25. Notre Dame is barely holding on right now. And I do mean barely holding on right now. The way that this is working, currently, Notre Dame is 3-2. You have Clemson at 2-3 after thumping North Carolina. Then you have Penn State at the bottom. They are currently 0-2. They are 3-2 on the season, but they're 0-2 in the Big Ten. And we are setting ourselves up for a wild finish to this year since Penn State is basically out. I don't know how many other 2-loss teams there will be in the Big Ten. And to be honest with you, they've got a hard road. They got a hard road to go here. They play Northwestern this coming week. Then they have at Iowa, at Ohio State. They host Indiana, at Michigan State, Nebraska, and at Rutgers. At Ohio State and then home against Indiana are the back-to-back games. The Ohio State game, it could be the game that knocks them out of Big Ten contention. It really could. It absolutely could. The Indiana Hoosiers are sitting in the middle of their potential gauntlet. The good news is they don't have to go to UCLA. UCLA comes here. So they got Oregon coming up this week, Michigan State, UCLA, at Maryland, and then at Penn State. And I do believe the break, having your 2 hardest games on the road at Oregon and at Penn State. Yes, we won at home against Illinois. But the 2 hardest games being on the road, if you can split those and only have 1 loss in the Big Ten, I'll be happy with it. I will absolutely be happy with it. You look at the SEC, Texas is down. They only have 1 conference loss, but they're 3-2 on the year. They're unranked. And you got a lot of SEC teams ranked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 SEC teams ranked. All of them in the top 20. All of them. I mean, good grief. Ole Miss, undefeated. Texas A&M, undefeated. Missouri, undefeated. Oklahoma, undefeated. Alabama has that one loss. Georgia has one loss. LSU has one loss. Vanderbilt now has one loss. Tennessee has one loss. Texas and Penn State and Clemson are done. And Notre Dame, to be honest with you, I watched that game against Boise State. Boise State does not have what they used to have, but Notre Dame can't score the same way consistently. They have North Carolina State coming in here this week. Then they've got the game against USC. Then they go at Boston College, home against Navy, at Pittsburgh, which I think right now is a loss. Pittsburgh is playing really good football right now. They just blew out Boston College, and in Pittsburgh, I think they're really good. Home against Syracuse, and then they close out the year at Stanford. The Navy game, USC, and Pitt. NC State can play with Notre Dame. Do not sleep on NC State this week. But I will say, it's only one more loss. Then once they get 3 losses, they're out. They don't have any other power. But the preseason favorites are all dropping like flies. And I'm kind of wondering who's next. So the rankings as of Sunday, Ohio State still number 1. Miami actually jumped above Oregon because Oregon was idle this week. So Miami is 2, Oregon is 3, Ole Miss is 4, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Indiana at 7, Alabama 8, Texas Tech, huge win this week. They are sitting at 9. Georgia, LSU, Tennessee are 10, 11, 12. Georgia Tech is still undefeated, sitting at 13. Missouri 14. Michigan, Notre Dame somehow is ranked 16th in the country. And this is where I don't understand the AP poll. Notre Dame is not better than Virginia in any way, shape, or form. But they're ranked above them. Illinois 17, BYU, Virginia, Vanderbilt round out the top 20. And the last 5 are Arizona State, Iowa State, Memphis, South Florida, and Florida State somehow is still ranked after back-to-back losses. Cincinnati did get votes to be in. Texas and Penn State also got votes. And then there's Utah. Utah is a huge game this week against Arizona State. They will be ranked if they beat Arizona State. They'll be back in the rankings. And Texas Tech is currently running away with that conference. All right. So that's college football. Now, let's get to everything else before we get to the week review. Let's get to everything else as we look at how this weekend played out across the other sports. And here we go. WNBA. I've been on this for a while. Guess what? We're going to keep staying on it. The Las Vegas Aces, I thought this was going to be a good series, but the Las Vegas Aces on Friday took control of the series, getting game number 1, 89-86, outscoring the Mercury 22-15 in the fourth quarter. Once again, A'ja Wilson, double-double, 21 points, 10 rebounds. Jackie Young was cold. That's how you beat the Aces. She went cold, 0 for 6 from three-point range. But Dana Evans, off the bench, went 5 of 6 from three-point range for 21 points. Jewell Loyd also added 18 points. Between the two of them, 39 points off of the bench. And that is how the Aces win on Friday. And then yesterday, 3:30, the Aces absolutely just, they came out in that second quarter and did not want to have a repeat of Friday night. They outscored the Mercury 22-10 in that second quarter, en route to a 91-78 victory. They are now up 2-0 on the series. And this is a best of 7. This is a best of 7, so it is not over. But Jackie Young, 32 points, 8 rebounds. A'ja Wilson, 28 points, 14 rebounds. Chelsea Gray had 10 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, almost a triple-double for the Aces. For the Mercury, Clay Cooper had 23 points. Sabali had 22, but they got no production from their bench whatsoever. No bench play, and that's why second quarter was so lopsided. In the MLB playoffs, Craig Counsell screwed up, and I am going to flat out call him out on this one. Why he started Boyd on short rest on game one, I will not understand. The Milwaukee Brewers opened up yesterday with 6 runs in the first, 3 runs in the second inning, and it was awful. It was awful. The Brewers took out the Cubs in game one, 9-3. Boyd pitched 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. It was because of errors. Let me be very, very clear. There was an error. He allowed 6 runs, but only 2 were actually earned. Soraka then came in, pitched 1 inning, 5 hits, 2 walks, 3 earned runs. Savale and Brown ended up closing it out, not allowing a run over the final 6 1/3. Peralta was good, 5 2/3, 2 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, 4 hits, and 3 walks. Also that day, the Blue Jays decided to take the rest and strengthen up. They blew out the Yankees. Saturday, 10-1. Kirk had 2 RBIs. Luke's had 3 RBIs. Guerrero had 2 RBIs. Gimenez had 2 RBIs. Guzman pitched a really solid game. 5 2/3 pitched, 1 earned run, 3 strikeouts, 4 hits, 2 walks. Gil, I'm not sure what they saw. Something had to be going on. He only pitched 2 2/3, and they really used their bench. And I tell you what, Luke Weaver did it again. Luke Weaver came in, did not finish the inning again. 2 hits, 1 walk, and 3 earned runs. I would say stop bringing in Weaver. That's what I'm going to say. The Padres and the Phillies got to Ohtani. They got to Ohtani, but Ohtani pitched 6 really solid innings. 6 innings pitched, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 9 strikeouts, and a walk. The Dodgers got 5 runs between the 6 and 7 innings en route to a 5-3 opening game 1 victory. And game 2 is actually tonight. Game 2 is tonight. In the thrilling nightcap, along with the college football I was watching, also saw the Tigers and the Mariners. What a game. 11 innings. Tigers get the W 3-2. George Kirby, 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts. Melton for the Tigers only pitched 4 innings, 4 strikeouts, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 1 earned run. Tell you what, that series could be the best one because yesterday, working backwards, the Mariners win game number 2, bottom of the 8th. They were tied. Mariners get the game-sealing RBI double, and they get the W. Now, the Tigers only had 3 hits yesterday. The Mariners had 8. Castillo allowed 1 hit, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, and 4 2/3. He pitched 85 pitches in the first 5 innings. It was a lot. Skubal allowed 2 earned runs with 9 strikeouts. This is the playoffs. This is the playoffs. The Blue Jays have just decided they're going to blow everybody away. So outside of the Blue Jays right now, everybody else is relatively close. The Blue Jays once again just put a can of whoop up on the Yankees. 13-7. 13-7. Max Fried, 7 earned runs on 8 hits. Will Warren, 6 earned runs on 7 hits. Luke Weaver finally got 1 out. One out. His postseason ERA is currently 135. No, not 1.35. 135. His earned run averages, he allows 135 runs an inning. Yeah. Yeah. It's bad. It's bad. But you know what? You might as well bring him in. They needed one out. They felt they needed to bring him in. You know, whatever. I mean, basically, whatever. So, Blue Jays are up 2-0. Mariners and Tigers are split at 1-1. Today you have at 6 o'clock the Dodgers at the Phillies game 2 and the Cubs at the Brewers game 2 at 9:10 tonight. So that is what's going on elsewhere. All right, 9:37. Let's run through our recap of some of the other things we saw yesterday. So number one, the Texans offense decided to really just blow out. I mean, they put a whooping up on a defense that has currently no business calling itself a defense. Their defense picks off Cooper Rush 3 times. The game was over. The Ravens averaged 2.3 yards a carry. Henry had, I mean, it was nothing. It was just garbage. And honestly, I really believe that's the road game the Texans need. Especially since the Colts keep winning and Jaguars play the Chiefs tonight. Texans needed to get that W. They still play the Colts twice, and they still play the Jaguars one more time. The AFC South could be one of the most competitive divisions, along with the AFC West, because of how these teams are going to play out. I am waiting to see how some of the other divisions play out right now. AFC North, not looking great. Browns had a chance to win yesterday. We'll talk about Gabriel here in just a second. But the Ravens are in a lot of trouble, and I don't think they win that game even with Lamar Jackson. That defense, Roquan Smith, out. Hamilton, out. Kyle Van Noy was playing. I don't think it makes a lick of difference right now. That Raven defense is a sieve. You remember, growing up, we had all those different types of colanders. You guys remember that? You had the ones that just had the itty-bitty circles. You had the ones that had the really long slits in the side that if you used with spaghetti, the spaghetti would fall out. If you used with really small macaroni, you'd put it in and then all of a sudden half of it would be sitting in the sink. You remember all that? That's kind of what the Ravens are. But each part is a different colander. Like the defensive line is one of those mesh colanders. It can hold a little bit, but ultimately it's still leaking. The linebacking core right now is one of those colanders that's got the big slits in the side where spaghetti leaks out, elbow macaroni leaks out. You're very limited on what it can actually be useful for. And then that secondary, I don't think you can call it a colander. Because that secondary is bad. That secondary is just awful. I don't know if it holds anything. It may just be a handle and the colander fell off. Like, it's bad. I don't know what the Ravens are going to do. I really don't. But right now, they are now 1-4, and they have to really, really look hard at how they believe this season can go forward. 1-4, you're questioning, what do we do the rest of the year? This is, in a sense, this is your forced reset. If you're the Ravens, Lamar Jackson is hurt. Yeah, he's probably going to come back and play again next week. I don't think that fixes anything. Lamar Jackson is not going to be your fix. Your defense can't stop anybody. Lamar Jackson isn't going to be able to save this team because they can't stop the other team from scoring 40 points. Chiefs put up a bunch of points. Bills put up a bunch of points. Texans put up 44. Next week's game. The Rams go to Baltimore next week. It's a must win for the Rams. Must win. But listen to the scores that the Ravens have allowed. 41 with the Bills, 38 with the Lions, 37 with the Chiefs, 44 with the Texans, and now the Rams come in. And I will say at 1-5. 1-5. You're looking at future. You have to. Teams need corners. Who can another team get from you? How many picks, because I do trust Baltimore's front office, how many picks can you accumulate? Who can you sell off? Do you have the talk with Mark Andrews? Do you go to him and be like, hey, are you going to continue playing after this year? We need to know. If you're not, we got to get what we can for you. I don't think he'd have a problem going to a team that's potentially on the fringe of playoff contention. I think Jacksonville could really use Mark Andrews. I really do. Brenton Strange has been decent, but I think Mark Andrews gives Jacksonville a legit opportunity. Isaiah Likely was back yesterday. The Ravens, if they go 1-5, will have to really, really talk about some hard decisions. The Texans, however, the Texans looked good. Now, it's against a bad defense. Like I said, I don't take a bunch of stock into Kansas City, but potentially this is a team you just get right against. You just start playing backyard football on offense, have a little bit of fun, and it gives you a little bit of, mojo going forward. The Texans have played the Rams, the Bucks, the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Ravens. They're at Seattle, home against the 49ers, home against the Broncos, and home against the Jags. That's your next 4 games. So the road for the Texans is not easy. That's what happens when you're number 1 in the division. That's what happens. In fact, I would believe in the Colts or Jaguars to win this division as of now, based off of how they've looked. Now, the Colts have their own issues. Again, yesterday, the opening drive. All right, let's talk about it. Geno Smith, 2 interceptions. Again, Ashton Jeanty, almost 5 yards a carry. 8 yards a carry out of the backfield, and it just was... Oh, gosh. The Raiders are going to cut. This isn't even a hot take. This is a cold take. Geno Smith is done in Las Vegas. And he is the single-handed reason this team can't have anything nice right now. Brock Bowers being out did hurt, yes. But the reality is that this defense, the Raider defense, held Jonathan Taylor under 4 yards a carry. Yeah, he had 3 rushing touchdowns. He only ran for 66 yards. They barely had over 300 yards of offense. They had 96 rushing yards, 221 passing yards. They barely had over 300 yards and beat them 40-6. Special teams, bad. Block kicks, interceptions. It was ugly. It was ugly. I know Pete Carroll's not happy. I know Chip Kelly's not happy. Mark Davis is not going to make any stupid moves. They see the same thing. Geno Smith, the veteran quarterback they brought in, is not making veteran quarterback decisions. Flacco would be better than Smith right now. And that's a bad sign. Bad. So if you're the Raiders, do you take a shot on somebody else? Do you go get one of these rookies that were drafted in the 4th, 5th, 6th round just to play them and see what you may get? Do you go get a guy that Chip Kelly could use as an option quarterback a little bit more? I loved the speed option yesterday that Smith ran with Genty. Why not go get a quarterback like that? Is it really that hard? Be unconventional. Do something. That Raider defense barely lets up over 300 yards, and they lose 40-6. And all the points were in the second and third quarter. No points allowed in the first. No points allowed in the fourth. Everything was in the second and third quarter. And the Raiders absolutely just, they need something. They need a quarterback that stops throwing interceptions. Because there were 2 more that easily could have been picked off. It was not a good day. It was not a good day. All right, another comeback I want to talk about is this one. Because it makes me really, really happy because another coach is probably going to be in trouble. Mike McDaniel is officially done with Miami. The Dolphins are now 1-4. They need to sell off whatever accounts they can to be able to get picks for the future. They lost to Carolina 27-24 by allowing Carolina to come back and beat them. Rico Dowdle, 23 carries, 206 yards. He averaged 9 yards a carry. I mean, dude, one of the guys I was playing, unfortunately it was Penguin, my brother from another mother. Unfortunately, he picked up Rico before I could, and dang! What a game! 206 rushing yards. He added another 28 out of the backfield on 3 receptions. A touchdown. Rico Dowdle went ballistic for the Carolina Panthers. And they got a W. The Panthers are now 2-3. The Miami Dolphins are now 1-4. On Wednesday, we're going to play a game. We're going to play a game on Wednesday. We're sitting at week 5. You got 5 more weeks till the trade deadline. So we're going to play the game, sell off, hold, bet. Bet, sell, hold. Like, that is what we're going to play that game on Wednesday for all the teams with 1 win or less, not 2. If you're sitting at 2-3 right now, you can talk yourself into still being in the wild card hunt, which most are. But we are going to play that game on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. Was working on it over the weekend, so I'm looking forward to that. Bet, hold, sell. All right. See, final 10 minutes. Let's run through everything from yesterday. All right, going back to Thursday night, the 49ers won in overtime over the Los Angeles Rams with a beautifully orchestrated game plan. Mac Jones never had the ball in his hands for more than 2.5 seconds. It was absolutely beautifully done. The game plan was perfect. The offensive line for the Niners is bad. Do not think that because they're 4-1, they don't have holes. That offensive line is bad. That defense cannot cover a 2-minute drill. They're not good. But when Mac Jones only takes 2.5 seconds to throw the football, they are pretty okay. They got to play a defense that will actually cover that. But their defensive line, kind of weak. They got to have a little bit of help to be able to win these games. But to their credit, they are now sitting alone at the top of the NFC West with a 26-23 victory over the Rams. In London, the Vikings do get their W that they hoped they were going to get. They beat the Browns 21-17. Dylan Gabriel looked really, really good, though. 19 of 33, 190 yards with 2 touchdowns. No interceptions against a Brian Flores defense, and he never fumbled. They only allowed 2 sacks. I do like what the Browns look like with Dillon Gabriel. Do not sleep on the Browns. The offensive game plan for the Vikings confused the crap out of me again. Wentz threw the ball 34 times, and the Vikings only ran it 23, making me really confused what Kevin O'Connell is doing, because that is not how you're going to win with Carson Wentz. The Houston Texans blew out the Baltimore Ravens 44-10 in a game that the Texans really needed on offense. They needed CJ Stroud to go off. They needed their receivers to feel like they could really play. They needed a game where they could get some camaraderie and be able to really build as they head into a very tough part of their schedule. The Saints, well, they are winless no more. They knocked off the Giants 26-14 in what was a really fun game to watch. The Giants' 5 turnovers is what doomed them. New Orleans Saints defense was outstanding. And honestly, don't take the Saints for granted when they're home. When they're on the road, bet everything over. Denver creates a miraculous comeback, beats Philadelphia in Philly 21-17. Huge win for the Broncos, bad loss for the Eagles. They are now no longer undefeated. And this may be good for Philly. I don't know. The offensive coordinator does not seem to understand how this team is built. The offensive play calls are not as good. The offensive line is not as good, as Saquon Barkley is not being used enough, nor is he getting the lanes to run as he has. The Dallas Cowboys knocked off the New York Jets 37-22, and that is not indicative of how this game was. The Jets were not even close. The Cowboys held the game the entire time. It was really embarrassing. The Jets were bad, and they are still winless. They are the last winless team in the NFL, and it's not pretty. I thought they were going to be a lot more competitive because of how they had played, and they came out completely flat and looked uninspired, and they just should not have been that way. Aaron Glenn has got to be careful. Maybe he's not a head coach. I don't know. I think it's too early. The offensive line, I'm going to give him another year no matter what, because I hate one-year coaches. But right now, things are not good in Jets land. The Colts crushed the Raiders 40-6 behind mostly defense and special teams efforts, leading the way. Daniel Jones had a really solid game. Taylor had 3 rushing touchdowns, but Geno Smith, once again, 2 more interceptions, continuing to lead the league in the interception category, and it's not really close. The Carolina Panthers beat the Miami Dolphins 27-24, completing the comeback, moving the Dolphins down to 1-4, getting themselves to 2-3. Rico Dowdle had over 200 rushing yards. Absolutely huge game. Huge game. And the Panthers get a huge W as they continue to try to show that they have growth and that they are building for the future. The Buccaneers and Seahawks were in a wild game. This game was so exciting. And the Bucs ended up winning 38-35 on another last-second field goal. When it comes to the luck rankings, right now the Bucs have all of it. All of their wins right now are on last-second or last-minute drives. If you remember, they beat the Texans, the last-minute drive, touchdown. They also beat the Jets, last-second field goal. They beat the Seahawks, last-second field goal. And then they beat the Buccaneers by a missed field goal by Koo, but getting a last-minute drive touchdown to get the lead over the Falcons. The Bucs currently lead the league in luck, and luck eventually runs out. But for right now, they're riding that train high. Baker Mayfield and Emeka Egbuka. Egbuka currently has the inside track on Rookie of the Year. I don't think there's anybody else that's close. He is outstanding. Outstanding receiver. Godwin's back. Evans is out. Egbuka is definitely number 1. Be careful. I said the offseason, I didn't understand why they signed Godwin to a long-term deal. Evans, I slightly understood. But then they drafted Emeka, and it didn't make any sense. It didn't make any sense. Well, Now it does, but the thing is, you got to get rid of one of your other receivers. So look for Godwin to potentially be on the block, maybe. The Titans complete the comeback. They beat the Arizona Cardinals. I believe fully putting the knife into Jonathan Gannon's tenure as the Arizona head coach. This could be really, really bad. This team's body language is horrible. Kyler Murray, once again, failed as a leader, failed at taking the team on his back to just get a first down. Just get a first down, for gosh sakes. Couldn't do it. And it's bad. Arizona has a quarterback problem, a lot like Vegas. I do believe Chip Kelly would take Murray over Geno Smith. Maybe that's a trade the Raiders should take. Give Murray a different, give him a different scenery. Maybe that's what needs to happen. I don't know. The Commanders absolutely destroyed the Chargers. This game was close early, but then it fell apart really quick late. Justin Herbert was sacked 4 times. He had an interception. He also just kept getting hit. Jayden Daniels, 15-26 in his first game back. He had 39 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown to Deebo Samuel. And Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, 14 carries, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It was big. That rookie officially is coming on. Detroit and Cincinnati. This game was not this close. Do not get fooled. It was 28-3 before this game actually ended up coming down to 37-24. Detroit let off the gas. Garbage time points for the Bengals. And the Bengals are bad. Jake Browning is trying to match Geno Smith. 3 touchdowns, garbage time, all fourth quarter. 3 interceptions. Just not good. The Lions, Goff, 19-23, only 4 incompletions, 3 touchdowns. Gibbs and Montgomery both scored a touchdown. They had 118 rushing yards. Detroit right now is just starting to roll. And they're back to what they're doing. They're back to what they do. Run the ball, play action. Goff doesn't throw the ball 55 times a game, and they tend to win. And the defense with Kelvin Shepherd is getting better and better and better. And I do believe they're still going to make a move at the deadline, probably for pass rushing help because they only sacked Browning twice, while Goff got sacked 4 times. Hendrickson, I believe, needs to go to Detroit. Hendrickson sacked Goff twice. Hendrickson had a huge game for the Bengals, but it didn't matter. Then the nightcap. New England knocks off Buffalo 23-20. It was an outstanding game to watch. Vrabel out-coaches McDermott. Josh McDaniels out-coordinated Joe Brady. And it's a coaching mismatch. And Josh Allen tried to play it. Patriot defense played pretty well. Allen made a lot of plays. He had a pick. It happens. It was a great defensive play. And this is going to be a good rivalry for a while. That is going to be a really good rivalry for a while. And Patriots came out on top, 23-20 in a final second field goal. And it works. It capped an outstanding day. Tennessee, walk-off field goal, win. New England, field goal, win. Tampa Bay, field goal, win. Carolina came back, wins by 3. Denver came back. Field goal. Gives them a bigger lead so that Philly had to get a touchdown. San Francisco winning in overtime. I mean, just wild. Just wild. What a weekend. We got one more game tonight. We'll go over all the injury news tomorrow, as always. Jacksonville and Kansas City. I got Jacksonville. I'm sticking with it. I think Jacksonville sees the win by the Texans, the win by the Colts. They understand last week against the Ravens, they aren't the Ravens defense. I think tonight they force a turnover when they need to. They just stuff the run. Mahomes is going to have to throw for everything. And I don't think it's a long-term success plan. If Jacksonville can run the ball, I think Jacksonville can control the game. I do think it could still be a field goal game. Don't get me wrong. Cam Little may kick a 70-yard field goal to win it. I don't know. It'd be great if he did. Absolutely great if he did. But I got Jacksonville tonight. I think it's a big game for Jacksonville. They understand what they're, where they're at, what they need to do. Kansas City's got Detroit the next week. This is a hard stretch for Kansas City. Don't start thinking Kansas City is going to be sitting here okay. They could easily end up going 2-3, and they got Detroit coming in next week, who's a little bit bigger and stronger than they are. So we'll see what happens. Kansas City needs the win. Jacksonville needs the win. One of them's going to lose. We'll see what happens tonight. All right, guys, that's it for a Monday. Outstanding Monday. I got to do some more of my little research over here, get some things done, but by golly, it's fun. What a weekend. What a weekend. And we got a huge weekend coming up. I can't wait to start previewing next week. All right, that is it. 23-hour break. I'll be back tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure to like, subscribe, and if you would, please share the podcast. I deeply appreciate it. As always, it's the start of the week. If you have a case of the Mondays, think about football. Get out of the Monday slump. It's all right. Don't worry. Sunday's coming again. Sunday's coming again. You're working towards the weekend. Just get through today, and then we'll do it again tomorrow. Make it the best day that you can, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I am Hawk, and I'm out. Have a great day.